Hi, everybody. This is Cassandra.
Unmute right there. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. Hi, Cassandra.
Hey, Jill. How are you again?
Good.
That's my phone number on there in case anybody, well, there it is. Yeah, I'm 954-816-911. You know that.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, just in case anybody asks. Thank you.
All right. Yep. Okay. And you can see the agenda, correct?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm just gonna run and make sure Don Holmes is aware. I had a call from Tammy and she knows and she'll be on shortly.
Hey, Jill, I'm already on. Everybody, just want to let you all know.
Okay.
That's okay. You can.
Hello. This
Hey,
is
guys.
Cassandra. Hi.
Yes, hi, this is Jill Kaiser calling from the city of Palatka. I just wanted to remind Don. Thank you. Bye. Yes, hi, Kristen. This is Jill Kaiser calling from the city of Palatka. I noticed that Burgess isn't on the Zoom call for the general pension fund that's starting right now. Okay.
Jill?
Oh, there he is. He just logged on. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hi, Burgess.
Hi, Jill. I'm sorry,
Hi.
I didn't speak up earlier.
Okay. So we're just waiting now for Don Holmes
Okay,
and Alan Bush. But we need one of the two of them to have a quorum. I've called Don's office. I can try calling Mr. Bush as well if I have his telephone number. I might have to run upstairs to find that.
I apologize. This wasn't on my calendar. So this is Don Holmes. I'm here now.
Okay, well, we have a quorum now then. I can do a roll call if you like. Don Holmes.
Here.
Chairman. Tammy McCaskill,
Here.
Alan Bush, and Brett Dennis.
I'm here.
Okay, so we now have a quorum.
All right, folks, thanks for attending. As I say, I apologize for being a second or two late. For whatever reason, it didn't appear on my calendar. We just finished a police officer pension board meeting that lasted for about an hour and a half. But now I guess we'll move forward with this meeting. So after roll call, the next item on the agenda is the vacant trustee position.
I put out the opportunity to all general pension members to nominate someone or to be nominated, and I only got one person. However, that person then resigned before the time of the vote. So I'm back to having to find a full-time employee of the Palatka Gas Authority or of City of Palatka to fill the position. And I'll try again next month.
How are you seeking applicants, Jill?
I am sending out an email of what the job entails, what the ordinance says the position is, and also sending it to all the department heads who have general employees, general pension employees, and to the Palatka Gas Authority so that they can post it.
Okay.
That's-
We'll mention it if you'll remind me, Jill. We'll mention it at the staff meeting tomorrow as well. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Item number 3 is approval of minutes. Has everyone had the opportunity to review the minutes of the last meeting?
Motion to approve the minutes as written.
Motion by Commissioner McCaskill. Is there a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Okay. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Well, we'll show the minutes that having been unanimously approved. BCI report by Mr. Burgess Chambers.
Okay, thank you. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
And
Yes.
Okay, very good. Well, listen, I'm glad to be here today. I wish I could be physically there in Palatka, but this will work out just fine. What I'd like to do is start with where we are right now. We can talk about the quarter in just a minute, but where are we right now? And if you'd like, I'll take you in my report to page 9. So at the end, towards the end of February in the quarter, the market fell off very rapidly, and that 1 month decline ended at about March 24th. And the amount of decline that occurred was comparable to the 15-month decline that occurred in the Great Recession that ended in March of 2009. And it's just a coincidence that both of these dramatic declines ended about the same time, March. Now, what we did was we coordinated with Jill at the end of March, and we moved $160,000 out of fixed income and put it into equities. So we actually, turns out that the bottom of the market was right about the time, maybe 2 or 3 days before this was completed. And that helped precipitate a 13% return for the plan for the over the next 2 months. So for the April, May period, the fiscal year to date return, which is the most important number here, moved up to about 1.5, just under 2%. And you look at page 9, you can see the fiscal year to date return was minus 9.6. And that should be on the screen here. I don't see it on the screen. But if you all had, does everybody have a copy of our report, the BCA report?
This is,
You don't see it on the screen?
no, I just sent your private message asking about it, Jill.
Okay.
That's okay, Jill. Take your time. It's just the agenda. We'll get there. Take your time. Now, as of June 5th, the plan's fiscal year date performance had moved from 9.6% negative as of March 31st to almost 5%, about 4.5%. We saw a sell-off last week in equities. We've seen a recovery the last couple of days here. But I would venture to say that with any luck here, we may be able to end or finish June with a fiscal year date return somewhere in the 3.5 to, let's just say right around 3.5% positive.
I'm assuming you can see that now?
Yes,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Let me take you to page, please, 16. The 16, we're kind of going backwards now. We're going to look at where the dramatic losses occurred, which were not realized because we didn't sell any of this stuff. But if you look at the domestic equity, minus 24.8, that captures 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 6 categories below that: growth, value, mid cap, small cap, and so forth. All of that consolidated together on a weighted basis of right around minus 25%. Infrastructure, which is not a part of that, it's a separate category, was only down about 17.6%, and the convertible bonds were down minus 13.4%. So this goes to show you how the diversification in these other equity areas helped offset these declines that occurred in the equity category. I should point out that convertibles earned 12% in May alone. And there are only 2 categories here that are positive with respect to equities fiscal year to date, and that's large cap growth and convertible securities. You see the big drop that occurred in small cap, mid cap. So the further you went down in the capitalization scale, the smaller the companies, the smaller the sector, the more harm done. But by the same token, the rebound that has occurred in the last, we'll say 2.5 months, has been strongly felt in those areas that had the biggest decline in the first quarter. If you go to page 13, you can see where the asset allocations were at the end of the quarter. You can see that we were right around 41.4% in fixed income, which is very close to the target, which is 40. And the domestic equity, which was 1.2% below the target, where we put that $160,000 to get it back in line. And it turns out that that was a very good move for you. Timing was perfect. And I'll tell you how this was done. The old steam gauge we used is we look at the yield spread, that is the yield that high, we'll call them junk bonds, versus the yield of US government, the 10-year treasury. That yield difference is what we call a risk premium. And when that yield difference becomes very large, that means people are getting off the water and getting back into port and hunkering down. They're scared. But once that needle starts to move back towards, once that spread starts to narrow, or that gap begins to narrow, people start going out on the water again. And that's when we went back out on the, when we went ahead and raised the 160,000 and put it back to work. So that worked out well. The summary is on pages 5 and 6. I'm sure you all have looked at this already. I just want to underscore the fact that you do have a more conservative program than the police and the fire plans. You're actually doing a little bit better than they're doing fiscal year to date by virtue of being a little more conservative, and the fact that there was a modest rebalance that we talked about that took place at the end of March at 160K. And that's summarized in the fourth bullet on what was actually done with that 160,000. So where are we going from here? Massive stimulus, both on from the Federal Reserve, creating liquidity in the banking system and a backstop. The repo market has benefited the market. The Congress has been swift in making money available for those who are unemployed, and to companies like myself who needed extra money to keep people employed. So the next phase of this is probably on the horizon, but these steps, both by the Federal Reserve and by Congress, have been instrumental, I think, in keeping the market moving ahead. So the question is, are we in the eye of the storm here, or is the worst behind us? It's all based on what comes out of this resurging cases of COVID-19. That's what it's all about. And once people become more comfortable about it and feel safer for obvious reasons, then you're going to see the markets resume their trajectory of improving. And that's really all I have, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Anybody have any questions?
No questions at this time. This is Commissioner McCaskill.
I don't have any questions, but just an overview. We took some bad hits and we're on the rebound. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, sir. We got knocked down and we got right back up.
Good.
Okay.
Okay, I can't see the agenda right now on my screen. If you could put that back up for me, I'd appreciate it.
Sure.
Calling for a motion to accept the report. I'll put that motion in.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, unanimously accepted. Again, Ms. Jill, I I
You
can't.
can't see it yet? Okay. All right. Let's see where I can find it. Yeah.
Got some nice news story on right now.
Yeah. Let's see. Can you see it now?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
You've been real busy today, Jill, too.
Well, it's here. It's just not
Yeah.
exactly showing. Get rid of that one.
Jill, once you become an expert on this, you won't need to do it anymore.
Honestly,
We
isn't
can
that the
only-
truth?
We can only pray. The
Yeah.
reason I was turned away from the screen was because our HR director just walked in to tell me about 3 suspected COVID cases we have among our city employees.
Oh, no.
Oh, gosh.
No, I'm not able to get it up once the meeting is started.
You had it displayed right before.
I sure did.
Yeah.
I sure did.
Well, Jill, then, not to get too caught up on form here, can you read the next item on the agenda
Sure.
for us?
Then we've gone through the Burgess's report. We're on Klossner and Klossner with Cassandra Harvey, an update on the cyber insurance.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. This is Cassandra. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
we can.
Yes.
Great. At the last meeting, if you recall, the board discussed the cyber insurance, whether or not they should invest in a single policy covering just the GE board, a combined policy including the 3 pension boards, or whether or not the better course of action was to approach the city commission and see if the city would increase its current policy by $1 million to cover all 3 pension boards. It's my understanding after talking with Ms. Jill that this issue should be before the commission at their meeting, I think this month, whether they're going to agree to increasing their coverage to include the board. I also sent out an email, which I think Jill forwarded to all the trustees, that kind of broke down each option. Did everybody have a chance to look at it? And if so, are there any questions?
I did, thanks.
Jill,
Great.
can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Ms.
Okay, I
Bush.
just tried Alder today. I was muted again like I was last meeting, so I guess I'm
okay.
straight now.
Okay, we're discussing the cyber insurance policy right now.
Yeah.
So I think the best option would be to wait to see what the city commission says. If they'll increase its policy to $2 million, that would be a sufficient amount to cover the pension boards, based on the fact that all of the money held by the board is actually held by the bank, which has its own third party, which has its own cyber insurance policy.
But didn't you
Go
suggest?
ahead.
Go ahead. I'm looking at your email.
No, that was it. Go ahead.
And I understood your email to recommend that we obtain individual policies, separate policies.
No, I think let me try to find it.
You don't see it up on the screen right now?
Yep, I do. And it says I
Okay.
would suggest
Yes.
the board get its own policy, as there is no cost savings to having a combined policy.
Well, that's as opposed to a combined policy. I apologize if it was confusing. So rather than getting a combined policy where the 3 boards have a policy together, if you're going to get a policy, I would suggest having a policy on your own, because there is no cost savings. You see the breakdown, $1 million of coverage is $950 for your premium, and that's single or combined policy. So that's for the individual policies. And then the next option would be whether or not you see if commission will, or the city will increase its policy to cover the boards. So if you decide to go with a policy outside of the city, my recommendation would be to get your own policy separate and apart from the other boards. If you are more inclined to wait, if you're more inclined not to get your own policy, then I would suggest going to see what the city says.
Well, I know that on the police pension board, which concluded, the meeting that concluded a few minutes before this one started, it was determined to table this matter and let the city commission, or bring it before the city commission at its next meeting. If I understood one of the options was to have the individual boards named as additional insurers under the city policy. Was that correct?
Yeah.
And so do you have a recommendation, Cassandra?
Well, yeah, so if you go back to that email, my last paragraph says, it was also asked whether the city could add the board as an additional insured under its policy. And then I say this would probably be the best option. I don't think there would be an additional cost to the city for this, as the networks and the equipment are all currently city owned.
Okay, so we would, that option would envision the city increasing the amount of its coverage, but naming the individual boards as additional insureds. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Then I believe that's the option that I'm gonna ask the city commission to adopt when they meet at their next meeting.
Okay.
Anybody have any question or want to discuss that further?
No, it sounds like we should wait.
Yeah.
So we can do one of two things. It's up to you. We can either table this, or you can make a motion to have a recommendation to the city commission, whichever you prefer.
I think we can table it and wait till the commission meets and see what their outcome is. And then we can go from there.
Okay. Is everybody, if everyone is okay with that, can I have a motion to table?
Motion to table.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
There's no discussion on the motion to table, and that's why I skipped that part. Okay, Ms. Jill, can we go to the next item?
Yes, the next item is the budget. Oh, I think I just closed it.
I think what we have now in front of us are the expenses.
Yes, I just hit the wrong button. I closed the budget. Let me see if I can get it back open for you. Yeah, there's the budget.
Okay.
This is the budget for fiscal year 2021. It's based on the expenses. We have currently half a year expenses under our belt, and I've created the new budget for 2021 so that the city will also have what they owe the pension as far as administrative expenses. It breaks it down into two subcategories, the investment expense and the administrative expenses. I put in schooling. That's the only real amount that might be variable as the year goes on, depending on whether conferences are really going to be available or not.
This is a question I'm asking, not for rhetorical purposes, because I don't know the answer to this. Are there any requirements in the nature of a continuing education requirement for trustees of a pension fund like this?
In our ordinances, there are recommendations, but there isn't a requirement.
Ms. Cassandra, is there anything outside of our ordinances?
Do you belong to any groups like SPPTA and CPERS, anything like that? Because those groups they have requirements, but outside of that, no.
No.
From the standpoint of fiduciary liability, wouldn't it be a good idea for us to have some education, some trustee education?
Yes, there are, like I mentioned, SPPTA, which is the Florida Public Pension Trustees Association, I believe is the last one. They have, the board can sign up with them, and then they have conferences where they provide these educational opportunities. And currently, because of everything that's going on, they have a library of live streaming videos for trustees to watch in lieu of a physical conference. There's also CPERS, which is a national organization. So those are two organizations that the board can consider joining for continuing education.
Would you mind sending me, an email with information regarding one or both of those organizations?
Absolutely.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna recommend, how about both? Look at the cost that's associated with both, Don. Would you-
Okay, sounds good to me.
So it's not very costly. I think FPPCA is under, I think it's like under 300 for the year. And papers, I'm not sure, but I don't think it's much more. But I will send you an email with that information.
Okay, does anyone think that it's not a good idea for us to join one or both of those associations?
No, I absolutely agree that it's a good idea, Don. Thanks.
Great, then what we'll do is pursue that, and then once we get that done and we find out what educational opportunities are available for us, we'll make that known to everyone by email, and then hopefully we can get some buy-in to that, because I think it would be helpful to us to understand or better understand what we're doing, and number two, I think that from a liability perspective, it would be helpful in us obtaining some training. So we'll proceed on that course unless somebody has an objection. Okay. Any other questions about any other aspect of the budget? Mr. Burgess, I don't know if the image you're portraying there, leaning back with your legs crossed in front of that beautiful mountain scenery, is one that's intended to make us jealous, or exactly what's going on there, but you're doing a good job of it.
Oh, you
He
mean,
sure is.
are you looking at the Smoky Mountains?
Yeah.
Oh, that's all made up. I'm actually down in Miami. That's Star Trek imagery. It's not real.
Yeah, people that we count on to give us good investment advice are not supposed to impress us with their powers of trickery.
Thank you. I take note of that. Thank you.
Any other questions about the budget? Anybody?
No, not at this time.
Mr. Bush?
No, nothing.
Okay, can we go to the next item then, please?
We should vote and accept the budget, make a motion.
I apologize. Can we have a motion to approve the budget?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Accept it.
Second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
The next item on the agenda is expenses. This is the expense report. It's 6 months worth of expenses broken down by the investment expenses versus admin expenses with breakouts.
How does that compare to our last year's budget?
We're a little higher on admin expenses as far as the attorney and for Foster and Foster. But that's because some of the expenses from Foster and Foster weren't approved until this year. So the payments didn't go out until this year.
Any questions about the expenses?
With those contribution withdrawals, make it a little bit higher also, Jill. I see those 3 up there.
The contribution withdrawals, yes, that's
Okay.
included in the contribution withdrawal line here.
Yeah.
And pension expense, yes.
Okay.
We've had retirements and.
Okay.
And if this could be a motion as well.
If there's no further questions about the expenses, can I have a motion to approve the report?
Motion to approve, accept.
Second? I'll second. Okay.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. Next item.
Next item is public comment, and I will go run into the other room and check and see if there's anything on YouTube Live. One moment.
Our new world, ladies and gentlemen, our new world.
Actually, there's no public comment. And then the next item is other business.
Is there any other business to be brought before the board?
This is Cassandra. I just want to mention before we close about the annual Form 1 filing. This time of year, we remind all the trustees that you have to file your form by July 1st in the Supervisor of Elections office in the county in which you reside. You have a grace period until September 1st, and after that, you start accruing a fine of $25 a day up to $1,500. So if you need any help getting the form or anything, you can contact myself or the administrator, and we'll be sure to help you out with that.
Okay, does everybody understand that? They're all obliged to, everyone understands they're obliged to file that form?
Jill, we get the form from you?
Actually, I believe right now Logan is doing that service because it had been the city clerk. But I will let her know if you need the form.
Do me a favor, Jill, and just ask Sunny if she could get it to the members of this board.
Sure.
We've got Logan pretty much bogged down right now, as are you, Jill, and I understand that, and I appreciate all your hard work and efforts. As everyone knows, Miss Logan is, I'm hoping we can keep enough stress off of her so she gives me another week or two before she has a baby. But in any event, we are pushing that envelope right now. So just ask Sunny to do that if you don't mind, Jill.
I will.
Just to be clear, that's the financial disclosure, correct?
I'm sorry?
This is the financial disclosure?
Correct.
Okay, yeah, I received one by mail, so I'm good.
Okay.
All right. Mr. Bush doesn't check his mail unless there's a check in it. Then he checks it. He looks at it really good.
Sorry, Don, I didn't hear that.
I said, you don't check your mail unless there's money in it.
That's all we were to look for.
All right. What's next, Miss Jill?
That's the end of the agenda.
Does anyone have anything else they want to bring before the board for discussion?
Yeah.
If not, then thank everyone for attending, and I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks everyone for attending. And we'll talk to you, I guess, next quarter. Is that right?
That's correct. Mid-September.
Okay. And maybe we'll be able to, hopefully everything is going to be much better at that time, and we'll all be under much less stress, and the world will be brighter.
Maybe by then I won't have to have my daughter pull this Zoom up for me.
That's right.
All right. Thanks very much.
All right,
Thank you.
everybody. Thank you.
Good
Take
evening.
care.
Thanks, Jill.
Good job, Jill.
Thank you.